folks, we're going to do another DBA 3.0 Army review. This is another army that I completed recently, well, within the last year or so, and it is actually one of my favorite armies that I've completed based on how they look. Their play falls short of what I'd like, but nonetheless, they are a lot of fun to play. This is Book 4, 55B, Ottoman Turks. And as you know, if you've seen any of my videos of gameplay on DBA 3.0, you know that I use a mix of figures. There's no army more evident of that than this one in particular. I really went all over the place to grab the figures for it that have the look that I wanted to get from them. Okay, so we'll get started. We're going to go over the troop types and what figures I used and paint schemes, what have you. So we're going to have a little, down there in the left-hand corner, we're going to have a little zoomed-in view there of what the figures look like close up as we talk about them individually. So let's start off with the little guys first, as I like to do. It's actually the way I paint armies. I actually paint Saloy and light horse and guys that are like not very exciting. And in this case, I'll probably go over them in the order that I painted them in. So what I actually started painting first was a Saloy. We've got two stands of them, and that's these guys right here. These are by Old Glory Miniatures, and these happen to be a couple of slingers. So we've got two guys with slings here, and they have two Saloy stands in army. This is one of them. And the other one is this guy right here, is also by Old Glory. All four figures are Old Glory. I got them from a grab bag at a convention, and they are in their Renaissance line of the figures. So I'm not sure how these will come out, but we will do a zoom-in view there in the corner so you can see what these are. Nice castings, two stands of Saloy. Okay. I'm gonna move these guys up here. And okay, so the next stand that I painted up is these guys right here. They are a fast horde stand, also by Old Glory Miniatures. And these actually were part of that same grab bag. What I mean by that is we actually have one of our vendors at one of our local shows that used to make DBA 3.0 Army packs out of individual figure packs, kind of just as a hobby. And this was one of the ones that I picked up. It was some Old Glory. I didn't have to buy like a whole pack of like 50 guys, luckily, to make those. So I did have some extra guys, but they came in this. But these turned out nicely. They turned out well. Okay, so that's a fast horde stand. Okay, then these guys are all one figure. These are the Janissaries. These are all Roundway. All four of these figures are Roundway, and if you noticed, I painted these based on one of the Osprey books. I like how they did them with the yellow uniforms. The Janissaries, we've seen them with uniforms. Really, we've seen them when I've seen pictures of them being described with red uniforms, blue, green, and of course these are the yellow ones from the Osprey book. I think they turned out really well, and this is from these are from Roundway. Okay, and okay, on to the light horse, which are the next units that I painted up. I got four stands of light horse, and these guys are Old Glory, Old Glory, Old Glory, Old Glory. See a pattern here: Old Glory, Old Glory, and then these two figures here are actually Roundway figures. So the Old Glory ones are nice in that they give you different variations. I wanted to put the guys with javelins all on one stand. I used two of those guys, and well, they got javelins out, but they also have bows, because you can see they've got the quivers here molded on the figure. I wanted to put both of the javelin guys on the same stand, so just to kind of make that work. And then these guys are all armed with bow. And you can see this is one Old Glory guy and a Roundway guy. And that's the second one. third guy here. Really, the only thing tying them together is the little under hat. They've got a little head wrap that's in white. That seems to be what I see most of the artistic work is with these guys in white. The white wraps, and then the little under hat in red. I don't know if it's some kind of a fez thing, but that is one thing that kind of ties them all together. Okay, so that's the light horse. I think these guys are still on the screen here. Okay. All right. Uncle Artie. Okay. Can't have a Ottoman or Turk army without a cannon. I mean, that's crucial. This is actually a artillery piece by Essex, and it's the old school Essex. And I'm not sure what the period is. I didn't get into doing 15 millimeter ancients until 2004. So I know this is the old school. I want to say it's almost like Mike's model Essex figures, but these guys are really kind of dwarfish and chubby. But you know, they're all on one stand, and they kind of look like they kind of go together. Came with the artillery piece, the 4 figures, and got to have some cannonballs on there. And I made those out of epoxy, just rolled them up and put them on there. So kind of looks the part. But this is, I believe they weren't available before, but if you go on the Essex website, and I think there's a special section that says Mike's models, and they have the Renaissance line still available for Mike's models, which I guess were tied into Essex somehow. I don't know, that was before my time, but anyhow, I'm really happy with that. Gotta have a cannon if you have an Ottoman army. So, all right, now the heavy hitters here, so to speak, are the cavalry stands, and there's a total of 4 of them, including the general. You got the general and 3 more, and these are definitely a complete mix of figures. Let's start with these guys right here. Okay, we've got this guy's a museum, this guy's a museum, and this guy is a roundway, and as you can see, they are quite a mix of look there. The museum figures are interesting because they have in their codes, if you look at their website, they'll have the same code repeated. Like if you look in, they'll have a listing for Timurids, and they'll have a listing for Ottoman Turks, and some of the same packs from both. And it's true, you can use some of these figures for several different armies. It's just a little overwhelming trying to figure out, well, how many codes exactly do they have? Well, it makes it look like they actually have more than they do, but there's only 1 pose in each pack of the museum, so they definitely lend themselves well to mix them in a stand to kind of give them an irregular type look. Okay, so that's that stand of Cav. And here's another one. And this one we did some patterned things on here. We've got, this is a roundway, this is a museum, and this guy's a museum. So got some guys with lances there and guys with bows. So they're all treated like cavalry. And that's the stand number 2. Okay, this guy, we did some crazy quilt, literally. Camo on this guy, not camo, but pattern there. This is a museum, this is a museum, and this is a museum. So all 3 of these guys are museum figures. Some of the museum figures don't scale really well. It's mostly their infantry that are really weird sized. These guys fit in just fine with the other manufacturers. Fun look, definitely a colorful army. And the command stand. The command stand is, let's see here. This guy is a museum. The guy that's a flag bearer is an irregular. And the commander is roundway. So 1 of each, so to speak. This guy here on the end is kind of unique that on his lance he has these little rings, almost like reinforcing spots. So he looked kind of cool. We had this figure that's irregular. He had a banner. We took it off, put a pin through here that's a lot sturdier. A pin meaning a needle. Of course, they're they're sanded down the edges, so we shouldn't have an issue with that. The flag is something I found online, printed on the printer in black and white, and then painstakingly painted over it to kind of give it that look. I couldn't find anything that was already pre-made online that had the look I wanted. There was certainly this pattern, but they were all like, there wasn't any shading within it. It was all solid colors, so I would have had to go in there and shade it as well. But you got the big man himself there, commanding the army. Last but not least, I'm not a big fan of doing camps, only because, well, actually, I don't know why. I don't know why I'm not a big fan of doing camps, because this one in particular turned out really well. I think I was really happy with how it turned out. I don't have camps for all my armies. I'm kind of trying to get out of that habit now and make camps for them, because it does add a little something to them. This is a camp by Baudea, I believe is how it's said. It's a company in Spain, and I speak Spanish, and I don't know how to pronounce it, so that's kind of a unique one. I think it's a Celtiberian name. Maybe that's why I don't know how to say it. But anyways, it turned out really nice. It's made of resin, and they paint up really, really well. And this is just a little woodland scenic tree, and I just added some dry brushing to it, and just adding that little bit of dry brushing, it made it look better than just having the solid green color that's just boring. And of course, we put some grasses on here to kind of make it look nice. This is the tent of the main guy there. I saw on one of the other flags that is available or for Ottoman flags, had this little description, had this little symbol of the crossed swords, and I decided to put that right there on the entrance to kind of tie it all in and have the whole red-green motif going for the Ottomans. So this is the Ottoman Turk DBA 3.0 army. They look really pretty. I like how they play, because they're fast and furious, and they're one of they are an enemy of my Spanish, and so that's handy to do like a match pair. And they're also a Wimp War army, and Wimp Wars is, if you watched any of our other videos, one of the tournament types that we run, it's called Wimp Wars, and you have to have a minimum of 6 units of light horse or Saloy, or any combination in between. These guys have 4 light horse, 2 Saloy, so boom, they're in. The problem with this army is I have played nearly 50 games with them, and I think they've only won 13 times. So they have an abysmal win record. And there's a couple of reasons for it. I'd say the number one reason is they're an aggression 4 army. So it's an aggression 4 army, and it's an army that does not have a lot of, it doesn't have any heavy foot. So if it gets put in like a forest or something like that, they're pretty much going to have an uphill battle for sure. The other thing is that they suffer tremendously with bow fire. You fight an army that has 2 or 3 or 4 bows, and they're just going to eat these guys up to bits. And it's kind of a catch-22 that I didn't mention it, that they have an option. If they take the artillery, they can't take the fast horde, which is unfortunate because they really need heavy foot. So it's like, okay, do you take the gun to protect you against other bow fire, or do you take the horde so that you've got somebody on the ground other than the Janissaries and the Saloy to try to kind of hold everything together? So it's kind of a tough decision. I wish there were other options in DBA 3.0, like you could take one of the light horse out, or even a cav, and have the fast horde and the artillery. So in DBA 3.0, it's a very challenging army between aggression 4 and having a lot of light troops to kind of get you a win. But it is a fun army to play, and I've had a lot of fun playing them, despite their abysmal win record. So, but anyhow, hopefully you guys found this video enjoyable or useful, and this is the second one that I've made of these. And if you like my content, please like and subscribe so we can get more exposure out there for these cool little armies, and hopefully we'll have some other armies here coming up in the future that we could share with you. All right, well, until next time, see ya.